And now we present to you a tale not so old as those that came before. This is a tale younger than Sylvestria, one younger than many of our listeners, yet still one that took place in Old Sylvestria, before our people moved in search of a new home. Join us now for the tale of the Beast of Old Sylvestria. In the waning days of autumn, when the woods of the Ozarks stood half naked, and the moon shone silver through the bare ribs of 1,000 trees, a group of hunters gathered in a valley known as Wanda's Hollow. The land there was wild and old, a tangled country of stone ridges and shadowed glades where the wind carried strange echoes and the streams ran brown with tannin from fallen leaves. The men were from the hills of Old Sylvestria, woods-wise, hard-handed, and proud of it. They had grown up on stories of spirits, crones, and the wild man of the forest, but such tales were for long nights and children's ears. Men with rifles did not believe in such monsters. That evening, 5 hunters went into Wanda's Hollow with their lanterns, seeking raccoons for their pelts. The dogs ranged ahead, their voices echoing through the bare timber. The night was crisp and clear, the stars wheeling bright above the ridge. Then, without warning, the air changed. A stench rolled out of the brush, rank, heavy, and foul, like carrion left in the sun. It stung their nostrils and burned their throats. One man gagged and spat into the leaves. The dogs fell silent, whining, their tails tucked. "Mercy," muttered one of them. "Smells like the pit of hell itself." Another hunter shook his head. "It's a strange foulness for sure, like sulfur and death." They turned aside, trying to circle away from the smell, but unease clung to them like moss on an old stone. The forest felt wrong, hollow somehow, as if the life had been drawn out of it. The men walked on without speaking, each certain that eyes were watching from the dark. The night deepened. Then from far down the hollow came a screech, long and ragged, half roar, half wail, so filled with pain and fury that the men froze where they stood. It was no fox, no panther, no creature of the living woods, but all felt it was something that knew true suffering. No one spoke until the morning, nor did they sleep. At dawn, they followed the creek toward the direction in which they heard that awful sound. There they found what the night had hidden, a black bear sprawled in the mud. Its fur was whole, but its body beneath was hollow. No bones, no muscle, no heart remained. The pelt lay flat as if the beast had been poured out. The smell was worse than before. The oldest of them crossed himself and whispered, "The wild man walks again." Though the others laughed nervously, they all knew the legend. The cursed man of the forest who fed upon death and shadow. The bone-eater who took what did not belong to him in life and now wandered forever, neither man nor ghost. Still they could not turn back. Pride burned hot in their chests, and they vowed to find the creature that did such a thing. One of them said, "We'll go to Tud's place. His wolves will find what our dogs cannot." In years past, Tud, the first Sylvestrian, had made not just a humble living, but a unique reputation for himself by the wolves he bred and sold. So the hunters climbed the ridge where Tud's old homestead stood, weathered, some would say dilapidated, but still standing nonetheless. Smoke rose from the chimney, and in the yard lay 4 of his great wolves, their eyes like moonlit water. Tud himself was gone, vanished several months before, but his wife tended the place and kept the pack. The men told Tud's wife what they had seen and begged the loan of his wolves. She listened in silence, her face drawn with unease. "Tud said these woods are older than sin," she murmured. "He warned that one day the hollow would give up what it took from the earth. If the wolves take your trail, you might not like what follows it." Still she consented. They'll go where the forest wills, but heed me. If they turn from you, turn back, for since Tud's gone, they serve no man now." The hunters thanked her and set out again, the 4 wolves trotting silently beside them. All that day they followed faint traces, broken vines, claw marks too deep for bear, a smear of foul black residue on the trees, a few drops of blood. At dusk, the wolves began to growl low, the fur along their necks bristling. The hunters cocked their rifles. Then, across the clearing, between 2 cedars, they saw it. The creature was taller than any man, 8 feet at least, broad as a door, matted with hair black as wet earth. Its arms hung long, its chest heaved with slow, deliberate breaths, and its eyes glowed red as coals in the dying light. The wolves stepped forward, silent, teeth bared. The beast did not charge. It only watched, its head tilting as if it recognized them. Then, with a low rumble, it turned and slipped into the bush. The men shouted and gave chase, their rifles cracking. The forest erupted, snapping limbs, flaring lanterns, the wolves howling as they ran. But the creature moved with uncanny grace. It seemed to glide between the trees, vanishing in one moment and reappearing the next. At last, on a ridge of stone overlooking the hollow, the wolves stopped. They raised their heads and howled, long and mournful. The sound rolled through the valley like thunder. When it faded, the wolves fell silent again. The beast was gone. Only the stench of rot and the echo of that sorrowful cry remained. That night, by their fire, none of the hunters spoke. They felt it watching still, from the black beyond the flame. One claimed he saw eyes glinting behind the trees. Another swore he heard a voice, whispering his name. Before dawn they broke camp and fled the hollow, their courage spent. When they returned the wolves to Tud's place, his wife asked nothing and said less. But as they turned to go, she called after them softly, "If you smell that stench again, leave the woods. It may not be you that hunts the beast." The hunters did not answer. They only rode home in silence. But in the years that followed, Sylvestrians told of a smell that comes before the storms, of red eyes glimmering near the wood's edge, and of wolves howling on moonless nights. They say the creature is still out there, the bone-eater of Wanda's hollow, and though none can for certain say whether man or monster roams those ridges, the old folks warn, the forest remembers everything that walks within it.